And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Sports. I'm Sergeant Rock. As you can see, I'm all by myself, but shortly I shall be joined by Joe Stovall and Michael Cox. Here's what we're going to be talking about this afternoon. Darius Paul pleads guilty, and he's suspended from the U of I basketball team for the 2014 and 2015 season. Also, the NBA Conference Finals are set for this weekend, East and Western divisions. The second race in the chase for the Triple Crown in the Preakness Stakes, and of course, that is tomorrow. And, you know, we love to watch the ponies run, and we got to listen to the horses that will be running in that race. Also, Aaron Hernandez is indicted in 2 more murders. You knew that was going to happen, right? And St. Louis Rams draftee Michael Sams has the people from Oprah Winfrey's network following him around. We'll tell you about that too. We got all that and more coming up on this edition of Talking Sports. You be sure and stay tuned.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580.
Wait a minute, Joe. Before we go on, I mean, you guys are crazy. I need to give a shout out to a dedicated listener of Talking Sports.
Your mom?
No. Well, that's 3 dedicated listeners. He forgot to say 2.
Right. He
Man.
blew it.
One of
You
2.
blew it.
Come on, man.
I'm back in the back, so I don't know
You want me to touch the duck again?
No, don't touch it.
when I'm allowed to
We can't afford to
jump
start
in.
over for a 3rd time. All right, anyway,
Third
big
time
shout
this
out to
charm.
Bobby Hunt. We call him Mr. Hunt.
Yeah.
Who's a retired PE teacher for the Champaign Unit 4 schools.
He was everybody's PE teacher.
Yes, he was. I think he was Moses' PE teacher. Oh, yeah. Oh, and Jesus, too.
Jesus, too.
for
There
that
you go.
matter.
There you go.
You were on it.
And you got to follow the script.
Right.
Okay, he's a big Tennessee fan. So he wants us to cover more Tennessee sports. Okay, this is where we come in live, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we back live now. All right, Mr. Hunt. For us to cover more Tennessee sports, we would have to be in somewhere like
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Humboldt,
Jackson. Dyersburg.
Henderson,
Savannah.
Memphis.
Turkey
Memphis.
Hill, Turkey Hill, Tennessee, Memphis. Who cares, Memphis? Somewhere right around in there. We would have-
Knoxville.
Knoxville. I forgot about Knoxville.
Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah, I forgot about them too.
We need to have like a big jug that has XXX on it sitting on our lap.
And then we can talk some Tennessee sports.
Right.
My question is, besides women's basketball, does Tennessee have sports?
Ooh. Peyton Manning played football there, 100 years ago?
Yeah, you don't hear about that anymore.
Bruce Pearl was the men's basketball coach. Or
He's
was
down-
he?
He's at Auburn now.
Yeah,
Something
he
like
was
that.
fired for
He
cheating.
was fired from a couple of schools. Wasn't
All due respect to Mr. Hunt, though. I understand, he just wants to get a flavor of his old region.
Tennessee does have a fairly consistent and good women's softball team. I know that.
See?
So there's 2 sports we can cover.
Women's basketball and women's softball.
he? Dude back there knows a little something, don't he?
Hey,
Not much.
But a little something.
I have very little earning potential.
Okay.
so he can't go out and buy the pink Cadillac.
No, he
Is
can't.
what he's saying.
No, he can't. But Mr. Hunt, in all due respect,
Thanks for listening.
Yes, sir.
yeah. please.
Anybody who listens, we appreciate.
That's
Or
right.
watches us on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning on Uverse, 99.
Channels.
Or Comcast Xfinity
Channel.
6.
6.
All right. All right, let's get ready to Darius Paul pleads guilty in the court of law
Mm-hmm.
for underage drinking.
Right.
Subsequently, he is suspended for the 2014-2015 basketball season.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a loss? Yes. Do we feel sad for the fella? Yes. Was it justified? Yes. But if he could, the good thing about this, if he, what's the word I'm looking for? On probation for something like 2 years, got to do 20 hours of community service. And think you got to pay what $150 fine or something like
I think
that.
it's $350 actually. Hang on, let me-
And then after he's done with all that, his record would be expunged.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would expunge mine. They told me, ain't no way, dude.
Ain't a sponge big enough to
Soak all that.
soak all that. That's a lot of juice that you have.
Anyway, after we get through discussing this, I have something else because I'm kind of teed about this. But we'll discuss that a little later.
Okay.
Actually, according to the paper yesterday, he is sentenced to court supervision in exchange for his guilty plea.
Which is pretty common.
Yeah, first offense. Let's see. Sentenced to a year of court supervision, the least serious
I
form
used
of
to think I was
punishment
unprepared.
for the offense. Should he successfully complete the year without any legal difficulties, no conviction will enter on his record. He's also fined $325, ordered to get a substance abuse evaluation, and perform 25 hours of public service. That, folks, is compliments to the News Gazette, yesterday's paper.
Now, with his suspension, Coach Gross, the original comment was multiple transgressions.
Meaning this wasn't the first time he has been in trouble.
He's failed 2 drug tests administered by the university in the fall. So what this was, the old tip of the iceberg type scenario.
Has all we can stand, we can't stand no more type scenario.
Right. We as the public, this event was what we got to see, but we didn't see what was happening beneath the surface, which was, as said earlier, the failed drug tests. There were some issues, I guess, with missing class, and just as Coach Grove said, multiple transgressions. To suspend him for the entire season, to me, that's the most severe punishment you can give relative to kicking somebody just totally out of school. Because, we have to remember, he sat out this past year because of the transfer rules with the NCAA, so technically he'll be sitting out 2 whole years. Now, he has come out and said that he wants to play basketball here in Illinois, which means that he's going to do whatever it takes this year to get back on the right track and on the right path. The suspension itself, sports related, will it hurt Illinois, as you said? Yeah. I mean, when you're dependent on or anticipating getting a 6'9", 240-pound power forward to come into your program, when you've been struggling with the baseline of your offense and defensive side of basketball, it is going to hurt in that area. On the life side, so to speak, to me, after I got, I read the police report, read the information that there's the prepared Mike Cox.
Yeah.
And read the other information we talked about earlier with the multiple transgressions. This can be almost a life-saving event, because even though it comes from good stock, etc., good people do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seemed like he was on that path,
Jeremy Richmond.
that if this didn't happen,
Things could have been a lot worse.
Exactly. Now, I will say this. When we talked about the incident itself a few weeks ago, and we talked about the issue of race, that doesn't change. I think sometimes when, events like this occur and, individual pleads guilty, the general public says, see, yeah, it had nothing to do with race. Well, the reason why I say that doesn't change, when you read the police report and the fact that there was a white individual and 2 African-American individuals in this parking lot when the police observed it, because when it first came out, it was just 2 individuals were observed.
Right.
They never said anything about 3. And Darius Paul's dad is involved in law enforcement, and one of the things he asked is that, did the white guy just disappear?
According to the police report, yeah, he did.
Right. He just vanished.
Well, he knew the right route to take.
which was
I don't know.
waffle daffle and sprinkle some dust on him, and he just disappeared. So I think that area, don't lose sight of that conversation, because that's more of a broader social conversation. But coming back, like I said, to Darius and the sports issue, this is the first time Gross has really been put in this situation, where it's like, what does he do? He's had situations like this before when he was coaching at Ohio, but here's his first chance to show where he stands as the Fighting Illini basketball coach, and to make a decision like that, because number one, he loses the scholarship. So if he stays here, which he said he wants to, him and his parents are going to have to pay for school for that year. Suspended from all basketball activities.
Can't go lift, can't go shoot.
He can't do. Hey, me and my kids were joking about it. If he sits down at the cafeteria table with some of the other guys, they might get up and walk away and say, "Hey, man, you suspended."
Yeah.
So,
do you think this is a case of tough love, or is this a case of Coach Gross letting the other players know, hey, this can happen to you also?
Yes, on both counts.
once again, prepared. Okay. Very prepared.
Well, I mean, if everything I've ever heard John Gross say about how he wishes to run a program, here's his first test. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. Well, by gosh, he did. So.
Yeah, and that's why I go back to when I made the comment about a life-saving event, because, we, for years, decades, however you want to comment on it, people have always said, all athletes get preferential treatment. All athletes get, and if he wasn't an athlete, if he's just a regular Joe, no pun intended, and he had these issues happening while being a student here at U of I, what type of recourse would there be available to help out Darius Paul? I'd say none. So to me, it's almost fortunate that he is an athlete.
Or he just falls into the system.
That's it, because now you think about it. Smoking weed, underage drinking, sounds like
sounds like sophomore year of college.
Right.
Exactly.
It sounds like a regular old college student. But for Gross to come in, like you said, about tough love, I agree with Mike. It's tough love, but I think it's even a stronger message sent throughout the program, but also those tentacles reach out to other areas in terms of recruiting.
Exactly. Yep.
You come in here, no shenanigans. This is what's going to happen if you cross that line. If you do the things we expect of you, this is how we'll treat you. If you don't, you step out of line. So, for him to suspend him for the entire season, that.
Well, you know what grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears?
A couple of weeks ago, we was talking about Jameis Winston down in Florida. Mm-hmm. Clearly, if you saw the video, I even got video. This dude goes in there, orders some crawfish, and
not even wearing a hat,
and shrimp, and whatever else he was
crab
getting,
legs,
whatever he was getting from the deli counter. Waits for his order, gets his order, and clearly walks out of the store, which looks like no intention to pay whatsoever. Goes home. The police come to his house. He's sitting there cracking crab legs.
Dipping it in butter.
Yeah, exactly.
Delish.
Dude, you just walked out of the store without paying for your... Oh, I forgot. Now, here's a guy who also has gotten away with sexual assault of a young lady.
Alleged.
And I think there's one other incident I can't recall at this particular time. He gets suspended from his baseball team for 1 week until they said, "Oh, we ain't gonna charge you. You back on the team." The difference is here:
Florida, Illinois. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Darius Paul's sitting out his year of transfership stuff. Tallahassee, Florida, Florida State, been a winner for a long time. And that old money, if you will, I would think comes into play.
Where's the justice?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything Mike said because that's a great description of Florida State and what happens down in Tallahassee. That's the reason why I like when you talked about the allegations of sexual assault. What we have is that obviously during the time this event happened, he is on the baseball team. So to Jimbo Fisher's credit, that is an issue that the baseball coach, it's an in-season type thing, so the baseball coach had to make the determination. And, if this is the way he handles, these type of transgressions off the field, then that's the way he handles it. To your point of what's the difference, I think it's kind of obvious, as Mike just described what the difference is. But more importantly, it also goes to show you that justice is not fair. In terms of, I think you're looking at it from kind of across the board, even sanctions to be applied whenever these type of events occur. My attitude has always been, I still recognize this. We're still talking about teenagers. We talk about Jameis Winston is a great athlete. He's still a 19, 20-year-old college student. And college students do some very, very stupid things. But I think you shouldn't, the old saying, throw the baby out with the bathwater when these type of events happen. If it's a situation where it's just, for the lack of a better term, just based, what he did was just stupid. Period.
And illegal.
And in college, a lot of people do a lot of stupid, illegal things.
That don't necessarily get caught.
Right. And even if they do get caught, I bet you if you looked at the docket over at the Champaign County Courthouse of how many college students go through there for what Darius Paul did, underage drinking, marijuana possession, shoplifting like Jameis Winston, and to see what type of penalties they really get, and the fact that they don't get kicked out of school. They go to court maybe on a Tuesday, back in class on Wednesday. Nobody knows. So when we shine the light of sports on these type of events, I think this is where, the fulcrum tilts back and forth on how this works out. There are a lot of people, as I said earlier, think athletes get preferential treatment the way you described it. Other people think, if you think about an athlete, because they're under such stringent requirements, sometimes they get hit with a sledgehammer compared to a fly swatter when it depends on, the type of events, the program they're in, etc. So I've always been one to say, allow the individual event and the individual program to make the determination of what they feel is important in terms of, because really all you're trying to do is train that individual up and say, hey, let's not do this again. And like I said, when I look at the Darius Paul situation, to me, this appears to be more of a substance abuse, a long-term substance abuse issue, and that's why he's being suspended for a year. Jameis Winston, he's got an issue in terms of super poor judgment.
Stupid.
ADD, I call it.
There you go. The problem for Jameis Winston, though, to finish up moving forward, these character issues are not an issue right now. These character issues will be an issue this time next year.
Do you
Draft
think?
day.
Yeah. Do you think when it goes into the draft that the team owners, coaches will take an effect? Hey, man, you got caught shoplifting. You've been accused or
allegedly involved in a sexual assault.
Right.
Oh yes, because Right now, this behavior is being displayed on a university campus where they're paying for his education. What happens when he signs that document that says we're going to give you $20 million guarantee? Yeah, that's a whole different ball of wax because
now you're out on your own.
You can get crab legs whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be females coming around you a lot more than when you were in college.
Well,
and you got 20 million, or just hypothetically speaking, a whole lot of money. You got to make some judgment calls, and
you're not good at judgment calls.
I was just going to say, Jameis doesn't have to worry about Robert Kraft drafting him because that'll never happen.
No.
Those that don't know, Robert Kraft owns the Patriots.
Oh yeah, he's trying to either further distance himself away from Aaron Hernandez, who yesterday, it's good. What they call it?
Segue. Yes.
Well, yesterday he was charged with 2 more murders.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that took place in Boston. Was it Boston or Connecticut or somewhere? Right?
Boston, yeah.
Yeah, in Boston, in 2011. 2 dudes that they say that he didn't even know. Just walked into the club, saw him standing there, didn't like him.
Yeah,
Sat out in his vehicle, waited for these individuals to leave the club, followed them, and then shot into their vehicles with a .38 revolver. Hernandez then went out the next month, signed a contract with the Patriots for, what is it, $48 million, something like that?
Something crazy.
Yeah. Then went on to play 12 games. What does that tell you about this individual, Aaron Hernandez?
It tells me with all that money, he could have bought a better gun than a .38.
A revolver at that.
At that.
But see, what he said, what I did to the news, they were revolver, 6 shots, right? The prosecutor was saying that those individuals were hit with multiple gunshots wounds. So I'm thinking maybe 2 each, and maybe the guys in the back seat caught 1 apiece.
Well, what it tells you about Aaron Hernandez is no different than what we've seen about other psychopathic killers, from serial killers, John Wayne Gacy and
Dexter. Love that show. Watch Dexter.
Richard Speck.
Ted
Bundy. We had the DC Sniper. Just individuals who can turn themselves into chameleons, for lack of a better term, and blend into society. But then when they're put in a different environment, that heinous murdering side of them comes out. Now, from the way they've described Aaron Hernandez is that, there's been conversation about when he even played at the University of Florida of his gang affiliation. And to this incident, this is why Odin Lloyd was murdered last year, because he had, I guess, some material information about this murder that happened in 2012. So that's why Hernandez had to kill him. So, the thing about this is like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Lady Killers.
No.
Tom Hanks, you got to see it. It's hilarious. But it's like everybody who knows anything about what happened has to be murdered until there's nobody left. So
is this the one where they're down in the basement doing?
There you go.
Okay, yeah,
Trying
I did.
To dig into the.
Yeah, I did see that. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a hilarious movie. But I digress.
All right.
But I just think that what that shows you is we have, for lack of a better term, psychopaths in our society.
But how scary could that be? You in the locker room with this dude,
right?
3 or 4 years,
and he's
they had him over to the house, y'all barbecuing, and he didn't met the wife and the kids.
Uncle Aaron.
Exactly.
Well, and all the times that you said something that he looked at you kind of funny, you begin to wonder, how close was I?
Right. Was I next on this chart? But here's the thing. the old saying, you only know 98% of a man. It's those 2% that you don't know that really determines who he is.
Well, look, in the locker room. I mean, you guys together for an entire season. Did that. But after practice, you go your way, I go mine. Just like me, you, Mike. We sit here all day. Well, not all day. All Saturday afternoon, we joke. We have a lot of fun. We do talking sports.
Are you here on Saturday?
No, that's
But
a mannequin.
Yeah, but then I like mannequins.
This is one dragging around the parking lot. Yeah.
But when you leave here, you go out into the world and do what you do. When Mike leaves here, he goes out in the world and do what he does. When I leave here, you don't want to know.
See, and that's that 2%. That's that 2%.
2%.
Exactly.
That's that 2. I'm over joking about it, but that's seriously. That's that 2%. When those doors close behind you, and behind Mike, and behind me, only we know what's going on behind those doors. And because of that, I go to your point about the fear. I'm in the locker room, I think that shows you the diversity of a professional sports team, especially a football team's locker room. You got guys who cross all swatches of life. First of all, we know the race issue is diverse in terms of you got Hispanics and African Americans and Caucasians. You got Christians. You got some guys who may follow some other faiths. You've got heterosexuals, homosexuals. You've got gangbangers. You've got guys who came from, you think about Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin last year. Jonathan Martin comes from a real, affluent family in terms of highly educated, etc. You don't picture that image as somebody in an NFL locker room. But that just shows you the point that, everybody, you got all these guys, all walks of life, dumped into a quote-unquote melting pot, which is the locker room.
And expected to get along.
And now you got this guy who's a straight killer, murdering thug, allegedly. I want to make sure we don't taint the jury pool.
Now watch you call. You picking on me?
Yep, sure is. But we don't want to taint the jury pool. But it just goes to but I think the other thing is it's an anomaly in the fact that it's not like every NFL team's got an Aaron Hernandez. I hope. And every NBA team does this. Once again, it's sensationalized because it is a professional athlete. But in the bigger, broader scheme of things, it's just, I guess it's good that he's out of the locker room. So
off the streets.
Off the streets, because Tom Brady's probably like, man, how many times did I yell at Hernandez for dropping a pass?
Exactly.
When I threw that ball high, he gave me a weird look. Well, one thing the experts, the psychology or psychiatry experts tell me that's indicative of a psychopath is a lack of empathy.
So when were you on the couch?
This morning, dude. So,
The mannequin.
What they
no,
tell
it was
me.
a mannequin, trust me. I was by myself. But anyway, so, it would be interesting to see, because when I've seen him in court and whatnot, there hasn't really been any expression to him whatsoever.
No.
So that's kind of indicative of a lack of empathy. You have no feeling.
You ain't going nowhere.
Well, yeah, but
Standing
still.
there, sniffing and crying, putting on a little sympathy face is not going to help you any much.
But when you just have this blank look on your face, like there's nothing inside.
Right. The Michael Myers look, as they call it.
Is that what it is?
Or the Monday face.
Right.
Maybe he didn't settle into his fate. They will be sticking a needle in his arm sometime in the near future.
We can only hope.
And then you hear about him having to be put in solitary confinement because of incidents in jail where he's jumped on inmates, and it just, the more information that comes out, allegedly, he could just be a nice guy being framed. Knock on wood. But I just, like I said, I just go back to the fact that I think it's an anomaly. Aaron Hernandez is just one of these guys that, slip through the cracks. Our society has them everywhere. You think about it. When incidents happen in terms of violence against children and women, when it's somebody from the clergy, and
the NFL seems to have had a lot more than any other sport. You had the guy in Kansas City, Belcher, I think his name was, that shot his girlfriend, fiance, whatever, Ray Caruth, I believe is still in prison
for shooting his way. You know what I think? I think that comes to the fact of the nature of the sport. I think we had this conversation once before, Joe, about it's the nature of the sport, about how violent the sport is, how wound up that these football players are doing most of the time, and a lot of this carries on out into their personal lives outside the locker room.
Right, and I'm glad you talked about that, and the fact that we've said that when you've got individuals who, for the lack of a better term, we want them in that hype mode, kill or be killed, et cetera, and then as soon as the game's over, we want them to flip that switch off and just be, regular guys.
Yeah.
It's just a game. But what's the first thing that most people? Oh, we need killers on this team. We need
hitters.
Hitters, right?
We need somebody to go out there and smash mouth somebody.
Yeah, rip his head off. All the and it's all used under the guise of that's just terminology and that's just a figure of speech. But
you know what you're saying.
Exactly. So in terms of a guy like this happening, and Mike made the point that it looks like it's happening more in football than any other sport. And I also think that we've got to recognize the social aspect of where our athletes come from.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to take a real hard look at the fact that, as I said earlier, to Jonathan Martin, he's the exception to the rule in terms of where a lot of guys are coming from. Richard Sherman, he comes from Compton, he's Stanford educated, pretty intelligent guy. But then you have some other guys who may not have that great of a background, and sports was that outlet to get them out, but it still didn't change their environment of where they came from and who they are. And every now and then you might get a guy who, and then I think the other thing when you talk about psychopaths and people being psychotic and manipulative, when you've been in that athletic realm where you've been able, for the lack of a better term, get away with a lot of stuff, and you continue to move up that ladder, and now you're given a lot of money, as I said earlier, and you've got poor character and the inability to make good judgment combined with money, it kind of makes you think, almost you're invincible.
And we're not in reference to that Tallahassee, Florida guy.
Oh, no, not at all.
Not at all.
That was just crab legs.
All right, while we're on the NFL, we'll keep it right here. Michael Sams got drafted by St. Louis Rams, 7th round. And this is my understanding that 7th rounders very rarely make the team. But they said that he's going to be given a chance just like everybody else. Everybody's talking about the kiss that was seen on ESPN and the cake rubbing and the fade.
Oh, it's been seen on ESPN for days.
And now they're saying that he has Oprah Winfrey's film crew has been following him around, documenting his road from college through the NFL draft and now through the St. Louis system. There's a lot of players that are not too happy about this.
Well, a lot of players just need to relax, I think, because, like it or not, from a historical perspective, it's significant.
Yes.
From a strictly football perspective, I think there are a lot of other teams he would have been better off going to, because St. Louis's front 4, front 7 are very young and very good. And, I saw the interview with the general manager and Fisher and all that stuff. And, if he makes it, great, wonderful. I've got some friends that are, I got to go get me a Michael Sam jersey. Well, why don't you wait till he makes the team? Because if he doesn't, then it's just a footnote in history.
And you got a Michael Sam jersey.
That 3 years from now, nobody will have a clue who he is, in all likelihood. So,
I think two areas. Number one, like Mike talked about from a football standpoint, I was surprised he went in the 7th round because he was the co-defensive player of the year in the SEC.
well,
I mean, with that being said, you know, if you look back at other players who won that award in the SEC, which is arguably the best football conference on the collegiate level, he should have been at least a 3rd or 4th round draft pick.
But you think a lot of these teams were thinking, well, we don't want that drama in our locker room. Not just yet.
But see, that then takes it away. Now we're not talking football.
right.
Like I said, just strictly speaking from a football standpoint,
I am too.
You know, but when a team says, you're good, but I don't want you because I don't want the circus, then, you know, now we're getting away from football and we're going to let arguably a talented football player not be picked because of what the media, circus, and, you know, other things may occur. Going to Mike's point, when people talk about, you know, they're getting tired of, you know, the attention, this is history. I mean, people talk about, well, there have been homosexuals who've played in the NFL, but we have never had an openly gay man that everybody knew before the NFL draft come into the NFL.
Right.
You know, we found out after guys have left the league. You know, Ezra Tualo, who used to play for the Green Bay Packers and the Vikings and some other teams, he was gay. I think Jonathan Harris.
Now, who do we interview a few years back?
I'm trying to think. I think he played with the Dolphins. But, you know.
You told of his plight during the NFL while he was, you know, playing.
And he just recently passed away.
Did he?
Yeah. But it just goes, you know, as Mike said, a lot of guys just need to relax because, you know, like with Oprah's network wanting to chronicle what he does, his day-to-day life, we talked about this before. This is nothing new. It's just a reality show.
Yeah, you know, the producer says they won't be showing any of the practices,
right?
Or, you know, nothing like that.
Well, I don't think the Rams will give him permission to do it. So
yeah,
that's
right.
A moot point. Going back
but see what they're saying now, what the people are saying now. Now this is taken away from him being a quote unquote football player to being a gay football player in the NFL. Something that he says he does not want. He just wants to be considered an NFL football player. Mike Cheeser, what do you got to say?
I was gonna say maybe he shouldn't have said something a month before the draft. Then,
right.
I mean, it's like you know we talked about this before when he got over to the combine. Everybody wanted to ask him about being a gay football player. He's like, well, you know, I don't really want to talk about that. I just want to do the combine. Well, then why'd you say anything?
Right.
Because did you not expect this is what you were gonna get?
Right.
So,
Do you think he expected it, but he just wanted to give the illusion that, you know, that he didn't want all this hype, but then again he did. He wanted to give more exposure not only to himself, but to the gay community and gay athletes.
The toughest part, I think, from a sexuality standpoint, is that you are who you are.
right.
And whether you want the attention or not, the reality is we live in a predominantly heterosexual society. We know how gays and lesbians have been prosecuted and persecuted in this country and universally. And, you know, so as an individual, you know, Michael Sam's is like, this is who I am. You know, when I was at University of Missouri, everybody knew who I was. So there was no question there. So, you know, to the point of,
he wasn't making history at Mizzou.
Right. And I think what I was going to say is that you get to this point where it's like, okay, everybody's saying, well, you know, if you didn't want this attention, you shouldn't have said anything. But if he doesn't say anything, is he being true to Michael Sam's? And I think that's where the paradox comes in. Michael Sam's doesn't reveal his sexuality. And we've seen with other areas of, you know, how titillating things can be in our society when somebody finds out something. You know, if I find out something about Sam that the world doesn't know, what's the first thing I do? I go to TMZ and sell it.
Facebook,
or
Twitter, whatever.
Right. You put it out there, because it's so salacious and everybody now is questioning Sam but if Sam comes out, he takes number one, he takes away the detractors and he empowers himself by saying it, but he can't control the response.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the issue right now with Michael Sams. He can't control the response. He said it, but did he? I mean, can you really have the expectations that this was going to go to the point where, like, Oprah wants to follow you?
Well, I think that if and I don't know him. I mean, he could be a brilliant young man. I have no idea. But if he had no idea the significance of him coming out when he did, somebody around him should have said something. And I'm not saying that, they should have said.
What makes you think that nobody say that somebody didn't tell him that?
Well, I would think that they did.
Because they did, man. This is history right here. You getting ready to shake up the NFL.
The world.
Yeah, you getting ready to do that.
It's not so much that I think he shouldn't have said anything if he didn't want the attention. Perhaps maybe wait until after you were drafted and then maybe come out. If you were concerned with the circus that was going to happen at the combine, at the draft, does it affect my draft stock or not? Who knows if it did or if it didn't.
Right.
Maybe just wait a month or two. I don't know, but and I'll be the first to admit I have no idea what he went through or what he's gone through. I mean, I've got some friends, but beyond that, I don't really know. So I just. I guess I was just kind of.
You don't know.
I don't know. Of the opinion that. That if it's like we've said before, when we've talked about this before, if you don't want what you should logically expect to happen, then perhaps you maybe don't say anything.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at the fact that he said something. I'm trying to be as tactful as possible. He said who he was. The world now wants to know more of who he is, and now it's like the genie's out the bottle.
He's trying to put it back in.
And you can't put it back in. So I think for him, I don't want to say he's being disingenuous, but for him to say, I just want to play football, the unfortunate reality is you can't just play football.
Right, and that's kind of my point.
Right, Jackie Robinson just couldn't play baseball. Now, Jackie Robinson obviously, didn't have to come out and say, hey, I'm an African-American. I think people kind of figured that out when
right.
he walked on the field in Montreal for spring training with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Is there now you're going to get into this issue of, is there a difference in terms of, sexuality versus an individual's race when it comes to breaking down barriers? Of course it is in terms of, you can't just look at an individual and determine their sexuality. But even with that being said, I think for him to say it gives a sense of pride to the individuals who live a similar lifestyle like Michael Sams. Now the issue is the acceptance. Can Michael Sams, A, be an accepted openly gay man in a professional football team's locker room, and B, can he, going back to the bigger issue, dealing straight with football, can he make the team? Because now, here's the issue. Now that he's out, and now he's been drafted, I agree with Mike. You think about what St. Louis has done over the year. They've spent a lot of draft picks on their defensive line. They got 2 first-round picks.
They're really good up front.
Right.
Well,
he doesn't make the team. If he gets cut, what is the backlash then?
You know what it's going to be.
Is St. Louis going to be accused of discrimination?
I think that's the reason why Fisher came out right at the beginning of the draft. Matter of fact, the day after, he said he's just going to have to make the team just like everybody else.
Right, exactly. And
so
the general
try to
manager,
cover his ass right off the bat.
Well, and the general manager said, basically the same thing was that, he's got a chance to make the team, and we'll see if he does. And we all know Jeff Fisher. I mean, when he played, he didn't pull any punches,
right,
and he's not pulling any now. And the interesting thing that Joe was talking about earlier is co-defensive player of the year in the SEC. I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, I'm guessing it was ESPN, shortly after he was drafted, that said, yes, he was co-defensive player of the year, but all his sacks, his 11 and a half or 13 and a half, whatever it is, sacks, all came within a span of like 2 or 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. He wasn't consistently throughout the entire season. So if he adds value to what St. Louis is doing, then they got a steal at pick 294 or whatever it was, 249, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think he's put a lot of pressure, unintentional, on himself, in that to finish the story, the plot line, he has to make the team and play well this year.
Mm-hmm. I think the final thing, Sam, going to your point about a 7th round pick, usually those guys are brought in for special teams work.
Right.
So if he can excel on kickoff coverage, punt coverage, etc., and then maybe be a spot defender on 3rd down, something like that.
Practice squad.
And be there throughout the season. I think that's the history. To me, it becomes mainstream when we're talking next year.
Right.
Right now, this is just something so new and so fresh. I don't care what anybody says. It has to be documented this way. It has to be documented from the standpoint of his day-to-day living, because people are curious.
Okay. You got the NFL Network. You got NFL Films. Mm-hmm. You probably would think that they're getting their own footage of this. But this Oprah thing, I guess, is supposed to start running here real soon on Oprah Winfrey Network. So they more or less just getting the jump on things. Not to mention he's probably going to get a little change from Oprah Network as opposed from NFL Films.
Yes.
Well, and that's just it. It's Oprah, and everybody that's alive knows who Oprah is and knows the things that she's done and all that stuff. And she's got a gazillion dollars. So, it's
$2.
$3, man. Get a cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheeseburgers are expensive now.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, it's Oprah, so.
Okay, well, that's it. We got to take a break because we've been chattering now for almost an hour.
Yeah.
40 minutes. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the NFL conference finals are set.
NFL.
I mean, dang. NBA conference finals are set. We got the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got San Antonio Spurs, who've been around for like forever. This is what, about their 4th, 5th finals in a row, conference finals.
Go Spurs, go.
Yeah, you got the Miami Heat, who's once again, just like last year, playing the Indiana Pacers. Hopefully, the Pacers will pick them off this time. That is my thought. I don't know. Now, I'm not hating on the Heat. All y'all going, well, everybody want to hate on LeBron and the Heat. I didn't even say LeBron's name until just now.
So you said
the Heat. You know what I'm hoping.
So you want them to beat the whole team, not
the
just
whole team, exactly. So we'll be back with more Talking Sports right after these.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. UPTV, Channel 6. 99 on
Comcast.
Uverse.
Whatever it is.
Have you seen the show yet?
Yes, I have. You look good.
You might.
I have not, because I don't live in a Comcast or UPTV area.
You can, if you go on YouTube.
I have to YouTube it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can watch it on YouTube. Go to UPTV link.
Have you out there seen the program? If not, tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock a.m., before the children get up to fix that bowl of cereal.
And watch the cartoons?
Watch the cartoon. Do they still do that?
Yeah, but you know what? Cartoons, remember we used to wake up, the cartoons we watched was a cat with a giant mallet hitting a rat in the face with it.
That's a mouse.
Or a mouse, whatever.
Tom and Jerry, that's what you're talking about.
Well, no, not just, remember Ignat Rat? Crazy Cat?
Oh, okay.
See? Not just Tom and Jerry. Even though Tom and Jerry one of the most violent cartoons.
Roadrunner.
Well, man.
They're blowing stuff up.
Right. Acme. Strap yourself to a rocket.
Throw the
Mighty
anvil,
Mouse.
throw the anvil off the cliff.
Right.
Yeah, Mighty Mouse.
And look, did it affect us growing up?
No.
Speaking of listeners, I do have to point this out. I got to show off my shoes because a listener commented on them. So, I have one fan club member. I took a shower right before I came, so stop.
He didn't take a shower with his shoes. Those shoes are outside the door. Hey, Mike, can I get in? Nah.
Actually, the other ones are. Actually, I was working this morning.
Now, see, look. Now, you've got followers. He's got followers with his shoes.
I have a follower.
Hey, that's one more than zero.
That's right.
Is one more than you got?
Hey, that shows your earning potential is increasing.
A factor of one. Yes!
You may be able to get that pink Cadillac.
Hey,
Come on, Sam. Read some news, will you?
No, okay. No. Last night, Oklahoma City Thunder took care of the Clippers.
Yeah.
And in a controversial last two games, of course, the coach was fined $25,000 for a play that he said just wasn't right.
Right.
And in both these games, I'm going to say, the Clippers had a chance to win them both.
Yeah.
But they just, like an open bottle of Coca-Cola, just fizzled out.
Wow.
Was flat at the end of the game.
I was trying to, when he said open bottle of Coca-Cola, I was trying to really find out where he was going with that.
Did I not impress you?
Very impressed.
Thank you.
That's the point.
Thank you.
Rarely do you, but when you do,
It's super impressive.
impressive.
Okay.
We can order chicken or catfish.
There you go.
We're so impressed.
All right.
Jambalaya.
I'll take a two-piece.
Spaghetti.
You take a two-piece.
You missed your
Here,
chance.
we
Right.
want to call him back?
You can call him back. Thinking chicken.
Add it
It's
to his
kicking.
order.
Yeah, pick
We
a
can
chicken at a two-piece.
We can just add a two-piece.
So when we sit here in the next segment, the lips all greasy.
It's not from Carmex.
Anyway, yes, Clippers eliminated. Excellent ball game, I thought, from Oklahoma City standpoint, and we found out why Kevin Durant is MVP.
Yeah. When Kevin Durant can get into a free-flowing offensive barrage like he got into last night, there's none better. He's a basketball prodigy. And when you watch a guy like that put on his offensive display that he put on last night, you get an appreciation. I actually don't think people appreciate his talents, him and LeBron, in this factor. Kevin Durant is 6'11".
Yeah.
He looks 6'11" too,
He has a 7'2" wingspan,
and thin.
but he handles the basketball like he's 6'2". And I think, like I said, you think back when we were growing up watching basketball, if a guy was 6'7", or, in that range, and he could dribble a basketball, we thought that was just amazing. But to watch a guy who's basically a 7-footer handle a basketball like a guard and shoot like a shooting guard and be able to get to the basket when he wants to get there, I don't think we truly appreciate those type of gifts for an NBA basketball player, at this point. And I see people, every now and then when Durant has some off nights, people want to jump the gun on him, but like I said, when I watch him, and I watched him last night, he looked good.
Getting a lot of help from Westbrook, who just something about Westbrook when he plays, man, it just gives me the willies. I mean, he's so off the chain.
We were talking earlier about cartoons. He is the Tasmanian Devil. Remember the Tasmanian Devil would just come spinning into a room somewhere, just tearing stuff up. He plays at one speed. I know this will date me, and everybody else is playing at 33 or 45. He's at 78, and he's always at 78. sometimes it looks fantastic when he's working,
Right.
but when it ain't working,
You want to throw a brick at him.
right, just put a noose around it.
But Kevin Durant said that's just how he is.
Right?
Oh, and he drives Oklahoma City, the people of Oklahoma City, absolutely crazy.
Right. He's one of the guys, the old saying, you love him if he's on your team, and you hate him if he's not. But it's in reverse for him.
Right.
You hate him because he's on your team, and everybody else loves him because he's not.
Yeah, he plays with reckless abandonment. And he's selfish, too.
Yeah. He's not. I think the problem for Russell Westbrook is he gets put into the label of point guard, and everybody thinks of the point guard, the traditional sense of the distributor,
Pass first, shoot last.
No, he's shooting first, middle, and last.
Very rarely does he pass the ball.
He passes it to himself.
Yeah,
Well,
he's that guy, if you got him on the team, no, don't pass it to Russell.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's why you'll see KD bring the ball up a lot, too.
Yeah. But I think personality-wise,
That's perfect for one another.
exactly. They work because Kevin Durant is a passive-aggressive individual.
Very low key.
Right. You don't see him, with the loud, boisterous, you rah-rah, let's
He
go.
does this out a lot of time to the refs.
Every now and then,
But every superstar does that to the refs.
who, me?
Mike used to do that a lot.
Yeah. Don't make me digress on that, man. But
They'd whistle at a high school game, and Mike would be like, "What are you talking about?"
I think I look at the Clippers, even though they got put out, this last 2 weeks have probably been, to be able to perform at the highest level under the scrutiny and pressure that they've been under with this Donald Sterling thing. You've got to commend Doc Rivers. You got to commend the players.
The fans.
Right. I mean, this was a very tumultuous time for them. And I think coming out of this, going into next year, the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think this team will be, closer knit because of what they went through here. They just need a couple of adjustments. I think, number one, Blake Griffin has to recognize that he's a superstar and he cannot get into foul trouble. In the games that they lost, Blake Griffin was always just sitting on the sideline because he had fouled out. And he just can't do that. I mean, with all the talent he has and athletic ability, he can't leave Chris Paul and those guys out there on the floor by themselves in the last 2-3 minutes of every ball game. So that's where he's got to improve. I think Chris Paul has got to recognize that how important or how valuable that basketball is. Because Game 5, he lost Game 5. Doc Rivers can get fined $25,000 for a bad call on replay, but the fact remains that Chris Paul handles the basketball better.
Yeah, he made.
Clippers don't lose Game 5, and maybe
he made a bad turnover, and then he fouled Russell Westbrook on the
three-pointer, right? So I think even though we're talking about a 9-year veteran, he still got lessons he's got to learn, and I know it hurts because it's like, how long, or am I even gonna get a shot? And I think that's that mind creep that at this point in your career, am I ever gonna get a shot at?
I can't do State Farm commercials forever.
Right. And we ain't gonna let him do it forever. Sorry, son, we're moving on. You need to.
You see, you already got 2 guys coming up the escalator.
That's Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
And Kevin Durant's right behind him.
There you go.
All right, moving on to the other games. We stay in the West. San Antonio made easy work. Well, I'm gonna say easy work.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Best of 7, they won in 5. Portland, young team, just trying to figure out who they are. The fact that they beat Houston, that was big news for them in itself. But, as I always tell my kids, old school never loses to new school. Never.
That's why we're still doing this.
That's it. And that's why when you watch that series between San Antonio and Portland, no way.
All right, let's look at the matchup. San Antonio, OKC.
San Antonio's had fits with OKC during the regular season. Similar to what the Heat had with Brooklyn during the regular season, but obviously the Heat flipped that.
Who's got home court?
San Antonio.
San Antonio does?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've
San
got the number
Antonio
one
in
seed.
7.
So you say San Antonio in 7?
In 7.
I'm going to say OKC in 6. And the reason why I say that is no disrespect to San Antonio. I just think that OKC, they made it to the championship a couple years ago and lost to Miami. Last year they exited a little earlier against Memphis. I think they've been through enough wars and enough fire that, Durant now being the league MVP, I think kind of confirms his abilities. And I'm looking at San Antonio saying, who do they have? I know Kawhi Leonard, and they'll be doing a lot of adjusting in terms of who's going to guard Kevin Durant.
And Parker's day for day.
Right, because his hamstring, and now the Tasmanian Devil going at Parker. Does Parker break down physically? And Tim Duncan, my guy, he's been around since what, the 70s?
I think he was with Mr. Hunt.
Right. Love you, Mr. Hunt. That was Sam, just to let you know.
Yeah, that was Sam. But San Antonio still has Greg Popovich. And I think Tim's finally healthy, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. And I just see Duncan and Parker and Ginobili getting one more and then riding off in that proverbial sunset.
I would, being a old sentimental guy, I would love to see that happen. But I think the issue of Tony Parker's hamstring is going to be the deciding factor in this series.
I got to go OKC, too.
Well, and Parker is French, so.
Oui. Oh.
All right, to the other conference, Eastern Division. Miami made short work of Brooklyn. Of course, we all knew that was going to happen. So no surprise there. But the Indiana Washington Wizards series, excellent ball games being played in those, and just like the Clippers, Wizards blew a couple chances to put the Indiana Pacers away.
Pickens chicken.
Your order is ready.
Right. You might want to tell her to get that 2-piece. You want to add it to the order?
Oh, yeah. Hang on. We'll get it. Put it on hold. Oh, he hung up.
He hung up.
The big thumbs up for the Pickens chickens.
Yeah, we got it. We got it.
But
Anyway.
I think when you look at the Indiana-Washington series, what you saw is two things. Number one, Washington, young guys, Beal, Walls, Nene really kind of showed itself. Gortat.
Gore who?
Gortat. They made Gortat look like he was a real force in the NBA. The Indiana Pacers remind me of the Philadelphia 76ers from the 70s, where you got a lot of great talent, but these guys are so dysfunctional. When they play basketball at a high level, you can't beat them. But you just don't know who's going to show up.
Because they dating each other's girlfriends.
Right, and that's what I mean about being dysfunctional.
There's no trust on that team.
You think back to when Daryl Dawkins, George McGinnis, Caldwell Jones, Maurice Cheeks, World B. Free, Bobby Jones, Dr. J. I mean, look, you just talking Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer. And they couldn't win.
Except for the white guy.
But Bobby Jones was cold-blooded.
Yes, he was.
He was the baddest sixth man. I used to love Bobby Jones where he'd come off the bench. He'd dunk in your face. He didn't care. But they were just like Indiana in the fact that, you talk about all this off-the-court stuff. But also, when you watch Indiana play, it's like Paul George is, I'm Paul George. I'm doing my own thing. David West is ready to beat up everybody on the team.
Hibbert looked scared half the time.
Caldwell Jones. I mean, I just look at these guys and I'm like, 1 minute, and they really remind me of, we talk about the NBA analogy, they really remind you of the team in the rec league. They'd come in the gym, best talent in the rec league, but they always lose because they're always fighting before the game, and fighting during the game, and then fighting.
Wants to share the ball.
Ball, there you go. And so then guys don't want to come off the court when they try to sub in and out. So I think that's going to be Indiana's downfall. What's crazy is that through all the things they went through, they made it to the finals.
Yeah, but look, it's basically the same team they had last year. Came close to knocking Miami off, but didn't quite get it done.
Mm-hmm.
This year, do you think they can make it happen?
No.
Me neither.
I don't think, and I think because the consistency of how Miami's been playing, and the fact that, and I know people will jump all over me when I make this comparison. LeBron James right now is playing the way Michael Jordan did in this arena, and this is what I mean by it. LeBron James has elevated the game to a level where nobody else is even close. Winning the MVP was irrelevant to LeBron James now. The only thing that's relevant to him is championships. The same way as when remember Barkley would win the MVP, so Mike would go out and beat him in the series. Mm-hmm. Then Karl Malone would win the MVP. And then Mike would beat him in the series. So it's like, I don't care who you call the MVP, I'm just going to win the championship. And I think that's where LeBron's game has gotten to at this point, where Indiana may win maybe 1 or 2 games in this series, but LeBron James, regardless of what's going on with Dwayne Wade, because we know he's fallen off, Ray Allen has fallen off, Bosh, these guys are not at the level that they were a couple years ago, but it doesn't matter. LeBron James right now is the best basketball player in the world, and he can carry this team by himself.
I see Miami making real short work of Indiana, much to my chagrin, and getting a very long rest period before they have to play for the championship, either against Oklahoma City or San Antonio. Is that going to affect them, or
the ultra focus that Miami has right now? Because I think, going to Mike's point about the swan song, I actually think this is the big 3 swan song. I think this is it for Miami. I can't see them doing this again anymore. Wade's knees are just not, his legs work for a series. They don't work for a season. I don't know if Bosh wants to be in that environment anymore. I don't know if LeBron at this, he probably loves Miami, etc. He might stay, but they might bring other guys in. But in terms of this setup, I just can't see this going any more than after.
And Ray Allen, he been out there with Mr. Hunt, so his time's about.
You leave Jesus Shuttlesworth alone. He's weighing his options. So I just think that the Miami team will, cease to exist the way we see it right now, and then they'll probably play OKC in the championship, and it may go 7, but LeBron will he'll still win it.
Let's hope not.
Well, I mean,
That's just me, folks. That's just me.
And there's a lot of people like you out there. Speaking objectively, as I've said before, just what I said earlier about KD, and people don't appreciate his talent. A lot of people do not appreciate LeBron James' physical ability and basketball IQ that he demonstrates every time he gets on the floor. I mean, you just don't see it. You got a guy. Think back to how big and strong Karl Malone was, and we thought Karl Malone was.
He looked like the White Howard.
Right.
No, Karl Malone was a little bigger than the White Howard.
No, Karl Malone was 6'9", 240. LeBron James is bigger than Karl Malone,
and is more athletic.
That's the part I think people don't comprehend. And here's what I call LeBron James. You've taken Karl Malone's body, combined it with the basketball acumen of Magic Johnson in terms of his passing ability and his skill level of Michael Jordan, and you've got a hybrid. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Joe, he's not like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the killer instinct. If LeBron James wanted to be as selfish as Mike was when he played, he could be. I think that's where his greatness is not being appreciated. When he needs to score 50, he'll score 50. But he's like Magic, where he tries to get everybody involved. Like I said, reduces the work he has to do. But when he needs to do work,
makes for a happy team too.
Makes a real happy team. You know.
All right. So let's get on to some NBA news. Los Angeles Lakers general manager Mitch Kupchak says that the lines of communication with Kobe Bryant are open, but he will have nothing to say about who we hire as coach.
Yeah, right.
You know what that sounds like?
Kobe said, you know, they didn't consult me with the last two coaches, and you see how that went. So
that's Mitch Kupchak.
CYA.
There you go. And all that is like listening to a White House press conference. When the press secretary comes out there and feeds the media some line and everybody knows, you know, it's like, come on, man.
Really?
Right.
Okay. Donald Sterling's lawyer has informed the NBA that Sterling will not pay the $2.5 million fine against him last month by Commissioner Adam Silver, and that he will be fighting to keep his team. The fine was due this week. It sounded like when they called me the other day. When you bringing us up money?
Right.
Anyway, we got a caller. Okay, we'll take this caller before we go and get the rest of the news.
Go to the phone lines at 359 9227 359 9227. Talking sports, talk to us, caller.
Okay, 2 quick points. LeBron James can play 4 positions exceptionally well. Point number 1. Point number 2. Kobe Bryant, 7 years ago, would have the respect of having a say. Kobe Bryant today needs to bow out gracefully and do his NBA tour and call it a career.
Preach.
I'm late.
Preach.
That's it.
That's it?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate you, sir. You call us anytime.
All right.
Take care. See how simple that is?
Yeah, but Kobe doesn't think that, though.
Well, yeah.
Kobe got paid, what, 12? No.
$48 million for 2 years.
Played 6 games.
Yeah. Kobe feels he's entitled based on his past history. But what do they say about stocks and bonds?
They fall and they rise.
Past history is not indicative of future performance.
Oh, they tell you that, too. Make you sign that paper, too.
That's it.
Yeah, they do.
There you go. Right here, here it is.
Yeah, just in case.
Okay, and then thumbprint, please.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant. Of course, Mitch Kupchak's got to say that to show a semblance of power.
I'm the boss.
That's it. Kobe Bryant has been around for ever with the Lakers organization. He'll have some input. I think the biggest issue for Kobe is the influx of free agents of who they bring to L.A.
Well, it says here that they have only, two or three players that are signed for next year.
Yeah. Oh, that team was just
Awful.
MASH 4077. They were just, Band-Aids and tape.
Yep, that's crazy.
But caller's right. Kobe a few years ago. Kobe today. Get the rocking chair and get on out of here.
All right, back to Sterling. It says that he says he's going to sue to keep the team, but he had to sign a document that all the owners have to sign, which has an Article 13 in the league's constitution section that says whether Sterling intended or not, an owner cannot fail or refuse to fulfill contractual obligations to the NBA in such a way to affect the association or its members adversely. And they're saying that Sterling's comment provoked threats of a player boycott, led sponsors to withdraw support, created a racially charged image problem in the midst of the NBA playoffs that even President Obama had to make remarks upon. Therefore, he is in violation of Article 13D of the league constitution, and that's what the NBA is going to use to oust him as owner of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Mm-hmm. They can even go as far as just drop the Clippers from the league and play with 29 teams if he does not comply.
I don't think that'll happen.
I mean, that's the most drastic thing they'll do. But the point is that he has no leverage in this situation. But I think here's the relevancy of Donald Sterling saying some of the stuff he's saying. He hasn't been this important for 30 years. He's been more important in the last 2 weeks, and when I say important, meaning conversation about Donald Sterling has been happening for the past 2 weeks. You are 80-some-year-old man. Hey, nice to feel good and people talk about you.
He had a hot chick. He didn't need nobody to talk to.
Now he had a hot chick.
Well, my question is, and I know I didn't know, but a month ago, how many of us knew the name of the owner of the Clippers?
That's the point.
Yeah,
There you go. And so now he's like, I'm going to ride this wave all the way. I'm going to talk. I'm going to get on CNN. I'm going to tell Anderson Cooper that the team loves me. And
He looked like a complete ass on Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, but that's what he
Why?
is.
Why does his people? I mean, I won't say handlers because I'm sure he got some.
Why
Let
does
him go on television and make a fool of himself like that.
Because he has an ego, and regardless of what he said to Anderson Cooper, there's no way I can believe that he truly believes anything he said or has done is wrong.
Right.
Because he has an ego. He's a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever he is, and
Well, they said he's in the early stages of dementia.
well, yeah, because lets everybody feel sorry for me. Because my wife, who's put up with me having numerous mistresses, says I'm losing my mind.
She know where her bread is buttered.
Exactly.
Right.
She ain't the
On
only
both
one.
sides.
won't be the
Exactly.
last.
Her bread is butter on both sides.
And before he hired this notorious or infamous or famous lawyer, whatever, everybody was saying, "Oh, he's probably going to go down. He won't go down without a fight." Well, okay, everybody says that, so let me put up a fight.
Right.
Well, stupid, you signed the contract that says that the NBA can do whatever they want with you.
Right.
So,
I mean, whether it's the NBA or owning a franchise through a restaurant chain or something of that nature, there are certain stipulations that them folks give you because you're representing the brand. And I think that's where people kind of confuse this about, well, how can they force him to sell a team? He's a member. He's a charter member of the NBA brand. So if the NBA says, hey, man, your behavior is affecting other charter members, you got to go.
Let me ask you something. In the midst that, they're going to make him sell, of course. But what do you think about everybody and their brother, minority-wise, are trying to get a hold of this team?
I think whoever gets the team, the market once the team is sold, the market value of the Clippers is just going to go through the
skyrocket.
roof.
It's going to skyrocket.
And that's why you see all these people jockeying for the position of it. It's not the fact that they want to own a sports team. It's the fact they know the financial value of what the Clippers will be after this sale happens. Because any publicity is good publicity. And the Clippers right now are the number one team being talked about.
Okay, you got everybody from Oprah, Magic Johnson and his group,
Bob Geffen.
Lil Wayne, and some other, I feel like it's nonsense, but all of a sudden, I want to own or have a piece of the Los Angeles Clippers.
And so what the NBA is doing now, it's not just the fact that you have enough
But
money to buy.
nobody white has came forward and said, "Hey, I want to own this."
Yes,
Well,
they have.
who?
Bob Geffen, and another big entertainment guy is part of the group. Last I heard, part of the group that with Oprah that's wanting to put it all together and all that stuff. So there are some white folks that are interested.
Larry Ellison of Oracle.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
There are people out there. It's the conversation, the media conversation is about the minorities. But in terms of the litany of people who want, it is across the board in terms of who wants to buy this team.
Now,
You know.
okay. Now here's something. Wait.
No, I was just going to say, I think the media, because it's a race issue, wants to drive it towards the direction of minorities buying the team.
We are powerful.
When in fact, everybody wants this team.
We are powerful.
So,
Media's no joke. Did you hear about Jet is getting away from print magazine? They're going
Yeah.
strict.
no more Jet Centerfold.
That's crazy.
What's going on?
Beauty of the week.
Right.
That was the only reason why I went out and brought a Jet.
Did you actually buy them or you just go to the barbershop?
He was a barbershop.
Right. I mean, come on now.
Address tore all off.
Right. The corner.
Yeah.
Come
You
on.
sitting in the corner of the barbershop.
So all I want to ask Johnson and Johnson, are they still owned by Johnson and Johnson? All I want to ask, are you still going to have Beauty of the Week? That's all I want to know.
Just digital form.
In digital
So
form.
you can just point and click all you want.
Shit, we might even go back to the 60s and 70s. Some of them Beauties of the Week.
First, you drag a mannequin around the parking lot.
So hush up, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you got offended.
Yeah.
Hey.
Come on, man. Don't be telling everybody that.
We're going to get video later.
Medication.
All right. Yeah, man. Keep that down. Keep that down. A liberal sports columnist in San Francisco Chronicle has speculated the firing of Golden State Warriors basketball coach Mark Jackson might have come down to his Christian belief. Because, you know, I mean, it's been said that he reverends at a couple of churches in the Los Angeles area. And, you know, he has deep Christian faith. But the owner of the Golden State Warriors is an openly gay guy owner, and they've had some differences. I come to understand.
Personally, I think he got fired because Mark got chunky. He got real chunky.
Yeah, I think.
Chunky.
He got fat.
I'll get rid of that. You mean he got chunky? But when I look at the picture, hey, Mark Jackson though, man.
Yeah, but look at him from his
When you
playing
get-
days.
When you get paid well, you eat good.
Apparently.
You eat good, you feel good. You feel good, you look good.
There's an example.
Right. I mean, look. I remember I used to be $1.50 just 2 years ago.
What?
All right. Put a zero
You
after
ain't
that.
been $1.50 since you was with Mr. Hunt.
That's true. Doing squat thrusts.
Up,
Down. There you go. But it goes to, we talked earlier about, we have a changing society. And now that we have a changing society, the views and opinions of middle management, if it doesn't concur with the views of upper management, can affect your job status. And Mark Jackson has come out and said that, you know, he's a loving man, but he just doesn't follow the views of same-sex marriage. And when your management team has a different philosophy in that area, that can affect you. It goes to just what we've talked about before, of what happened with Donald Sterling. You know, everybody. I love the conversation when people say, well, "What happened to the First Amendment?" What do you mean we can't have free speech? You can have free speach.
But you
there
just
are-
got to watch what you say.
You know, it's just got to be able to suffer the consequences of your free speech. You know, nobody can go on any job and say what they want unless you own the company. Then if you own the company, get ready for your customers to show backlash.
That's right. Exactly. All right, we got to take our final break. It's going to be a real short one. We were talking maybe 2-3 minutes. We got to run down to Pickett's Chicken real quick. When we come back, you know we love to watch the ponies run. Second leg of the Triple Crown is tomorrow, the Preakness Stakes out in Baltimore. And it looks like, you know, they only got like 10 horses running. Didn't I tell you they're going to shrink the field in half?
Didn't I say that?
Oh. Anyway, they only got 10 horses running. California Chrome is, once again, the front runner in this race. And, you know, take it from me. You're looking at a Triple Crown winner.
Are you going to go with Commanding Curves this week?
Oh, no, man. I'm going to bet some money this time. You know, we don't condone betting, so let me make that real quick. But if we did.
Oh, my goodness. California Chrome.
Yeah. You're looking at a Triple Crown winner this year, Joe.
But remember, they're talking. He might have a cold.
So they said a little while ago, I checked before we went over there, he's running tomorrow. So.
He was coughing.
Yeah, he's going
Sniffling.
All right, we'll be back with more Talking Sports right after these.
Welcome back. Talking Sports, WBCP 1580. What's funny? Only thing you see is a plastic wrapper with a fork and
Getting ready, aren't you?
a knife. I'm
All
like
right.
the horses at the Preakness.
Smells good too.
Yeah. I have in my hand the running order for the Preakness.
I have in my hand my fork.
All right, the Kentucky winner, California Chrome, has made the odds on favorite at 3-5 on Wednesday for the Preakness Stakes. And he's drew an inside post position in the 10-horse field that includes a filly for the first time in 5 years. Oh, they don't have a woman running around the racetrack. And here they are.
Before we go any further, you said going off the air when we went to break, I told you the field would be cut in half. No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did too. I did not tell him there wasn't going to be many
I
horses
said, of course we knew it wasn't going to be, and I said that it was going to be, 12? Mm-hmm. Mike said, and you said, oh no, it's going to be about 15. It'll be about 15, 16. That's what you said. And we'll go to the tape. I just want to make sure before you go further that you ain't trying to take credit because this thing's down to 10 horses as I eat on air. Yeah.
Well, I think I was in the 15 crowd too, actually.
But I just want to make sure he don't sit up there and try to take credit. Oh, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Go ahead.
You done?
Nope.
You got to swallow. Hang on a minute. You got to take a drink and wash it down.
Oh, man, I had a good one for it. Hey, here we go. Here's the 10-horse field. Post number 1, Dramatic Impact at 12-1. Second post, General A-Rod. Of course, he ran in the Kentucky Derby. He's 15-1. Coming out the third spot, California Chrome, who is your front runner at 3-5. And number 4, Ring Weekend, 20-1.
That horse from Vegas?
I don't know. Number 5, Bayin, 10-1. Number 6, Rhea Antonia, 30-1. Kid Cruz, that's the filly, out the 7th spot, 20-1. A horse that could probably upset California Chrome, Social Inclusion, at 5-1.
Not owned by Donald Sterling.
Mm-hmm. At number 9, Pablo Diamante at 20-1, and number 10, Right On Curling at 10-1. Now you got what? 1, 2, 3 horses that were in the Derby that are running. Right. All the rest of them are new. Mm-hmm. Now, what makes you put a horse in the Preakness that didn't run in the Derby?
Could have had a cold. Better at long distances, longer distances.
Yep.
Smaller field, better chances.
Yep.
Nothing to do on a Saturday and.
Okay.
Cost too much to get in the Derby?
Yeah, that's
that
true.
too.
But there you have it. That's your field. And I'm going with California Chrome with this one because I think that horse is going to win. If he runs like he did the Kentucky Derby, I think he's a Triple Crown winner.
Well, I agree with you. When that jockey had to pull that horse back to kind of get it to pace itself early, and then when it came around that last curve, so you're right.
Yep. Now this race is what, a mile and a half, right?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now the next one, the Belmont Stakes, which takes place, I think it's June 7th, first Saturday in June. Mm-hmm. Now that's a 1.75 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a long way to run. But I'm thinking California Chrome. We're going to have a Triple Crown winner in the year 2014. Mm-hmm. You heard it here first. Yeah, Trust me when I tell you.
I would be surprised unless they're supposed to get about, excuse my manners,
You have none.
3 inches of rain tonight. So track conditions will be paramount. Well, as to what may happen tomorrow, but we shall see.
All right, and the last thing I have for this afternoon is that Denver Broncos wide receiver Wes Walker, he was at the Kentucky Derby. He was seen carrying a large cat of money at the end of the game. He was even handing out $100 bills to random people. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to get one of those, and I'm kind of peeved that I wasn't. An individual believed to have been a member of Wes Walker Group at the Kentucky Derby, beneficiary of a payment worth $14,000 on a wager due to tote malfunction. Now, what's a tote? them those payoff machines. You know, you see them in the bars and other establishments with gambling machines. If you win, you get a little ticket. You take that ticket, stick it in the toke machine, and you get your money.
Right.
So they're saying there was a malfunction in the tote machine. Welker TMZ. Now, why TMZ? They just get all the dirt on everybody. Don't they? They reported that Welker sent a friend to collect the winnings. Churchill Downs, in turn, paid out a total of $57,193.90 to that person. Now Churchill Downs want their money back because we overpaid you, Wes. Wes says, well, I don't know how much we supposed to get.
Ain't my fault.
Besides, my wife got a new coat, and so, she's a shoe person.
Sue me.
Yeah, so Churchill Downs, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're getting that money back.
No.
I mean, that's just like any place else you go. Just like you go into the store, you give them a 20, they hand you back change for a 50. You look at it, you know it's wrong, but you walk out the door anyway.
That would be James Wilson.
Oh, you done it before, Joe. You know, yeah. He gave a 10, they gave you back change for a 20. You look at it and say, hey, here, you gave me too much money, man.
That's exactly what I do.
Don't want your drawer to be short.
Because I'm always thinking it's a setup.
Oh,
Right. I'm a suspect.
you're black.
Am I?
You're on camera.
I need to call and tell somebody.
Let's see if Joe takes this money and run.
Because in my registration at the hospital, I'm not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's why I get all the good medicine.
What they got you down for?
Other. They got him down as other.
I'm Donald Sterling's grandson.
All right, what's happening locally? Short
Obviously,
string, first string?
First string, rain, go away. Come
Haven't
again
played
another
a game
day.
about 2 weeks?
Well, they played Monday, but since Monday they haven't been able to get out on the field because of the rain. But the Sioux League team is on a 3-4-game winning streak. They have a big game coming up this Monday, which will be a radio game,
Uh-oh.
and it'll be at Douglas.
Uh-oh.
Cool. So we talked earlier about history. First radio game was, I want to say, 3 years ago at Douglas. And the people over at WDWS really enjoy coming out to the park. There's a lot of activity going on. And, you've obviously been through the park several times when games are going on. So this Monday will be no exception. So if you ain't got nothing to do, come on out to the park, support the kids. Hopefully this rain will have subsided so that starting tomorrow.
Weekend starting tomorrow. Rain's supposed to stop today is what I understand.
Right. And
I'm no meteorologist.
No, you're not.
But that's what I read.
But you're always wrong. So you could be one. But at least, like I said, the kids can get back on the field and do some things out there. But like I said,
have they been practicing any, maybe like getting on the grass? I don't know. No, not at all.
The weather has has not cooperated where guys can get out there and do anything. But like I said, hopefully starting tomorrow.
What's that?
What?
He's sitting behind you.
Usually I'm turned.
Oh.
That's the reason why it looks a little strange. Usually I'm like this.
There you go.
But I put him in coach. I'm in first class. Could you get stewardess?
Can you tell him to quit kicking my seat?
And that baby won't stop crying. But
Quit hitting me in the head.
damn kids.
What time on Monday?
6 o'clock. 5:45 actually. So yes, if you ain't got nothing to do, come on.
Man, we should go out there and do some special commentating.
You should. I mean, like I said,
We'll write that down. Monday, what? 5:30 game time?
5:45.
5:45.
There are so many things you can say about DWS and Douglas Park. But we'll leave it alone.
There you go. We'll move forward.
Mike's always wanted to stir the pot.
That's what
He
his
just
middle-
want to get in there.
I'm trying
Why
to-
do you think when he was growing up, his middle name was Spoon?
I'm trying to raise my earnings potential.
He's trying to get another follower.
Yes.
Yeah. So he can get set up a Twitter account.
I need 2.
If he gets 2 followers, he can get a Twitter account and Then he'll be like Justin Bieber.
No.
All right,
Cox the
4:45.
Rebel.
I am not Canadian.
He's
All right, we got 5 minutes. We need something else to talk about.
We can talk about my shoes again if you want.
No, that's okay.
Well, I need help getting another follower.
Anybody want to follow Mike? See,
well. I'm going to make my bold prediction with these last 5 minutes. We've talked about this before. The NBA lottery is coming up Tuesday. And you know how you always, there's Stovall with his conspiracy theories. Now, they have weighted the lottery based on the number of ping pong balls, based on the team with the most losses. So you get more balls, more losses. That didn't sound very good, but we got to go with it that way. But that's the way the system is set up. So like
how
the
many
Lakers,
balls do you get
well,
if you have 27 losses?
well, if you had 27 losses, you wouldn't be in the lottery.
All right, say you got 57 losses.
You'd have a lot of balls, a whole lot of balls in the vacuum.
So
tube.
you don't get one ball.
No. So like if, for example, the Lakers,
Do you get at least 2?
their percentage of chance of winning the lottery is like 2%. And that's because, as bad as they were, they're not as bad as like the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
The Bucks have more balls than the Lakers.
All right.
Right. But as I told you several weeks ago, and this is going to happen Tuesday,
Lakers gonna win it.
they're going to be in the top 3.
Oh, okay.
They may not win the lottery, but they'll be in the top 3. Because the league, as me and Mike had talked about before, this year's playoffs was the first time in the history of the NBA that you didn't have Boston, LA, or New York. You cannot have those media markets that large not be involved in your NBA playoffs. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work at all.
So what you gonna manipulate the draft system just so the New York Knicks and or Los Angeles Lakers or the whatever little large market.
You see a thing right there that Jason's standing behind?
That's crooked.
That's called
Joe.
a camera.
That's crooked.
The first NBA draft lottery, do you remember who the prize possession was that year?
No, I
Sam
don't.
Bowie?
Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing.
Coming out of Georgetown, most sought after player.
Who did he play
went to
for?
what team?
New York?
New
He
York.
went to New York.
Okay.
And remember, everybody was saying, "Oh, this thing must be fixed." Trust me. For you to sit there and think that everything in this world, I really like the fact that you're a true patriot
Thank you.
and you think about fairness.
Thank you.
But we're talking about billions of dollars here. And we're talking about an organization, the NBA, who just took the biggest hit in the past 2 weeks on its reputation because this Donald Sterling thing. They got to find a way to flip it. The easiest way to flip
And
it
you do that by rigging the NBA lottery.
It's their own game.
is the American way. What do you mean?
And now you see why I really don't enjoy NBA basketball.
Do you think that this is the only sport that does this?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. No.
So, yeah, hey, wait a minute. What's my name? And where's the mannequin?
Where's my bed?
So you don't think the Major League Baseball or NFL football is rigged to a certain extent? Or at least tilted slightly?
I think they
Well-
cheat from time to time, but blatantly rig the lottery. I mean, rig the draft picks. That's un-American.
Really?
You know,
Really?
I think, quite frankly, that when the Cubs put up 17 runs, Major League Baseball's obviously rigged.
Well,
You know, I wasn't going to bring that up.
if they were playing anybody, if
but
they're
now
playing
that-
anybody else, I'd agree with you. But when they're playing the St. Louis
But now that you did,
Deadbirds,
and you know what,
You
I
won that
watched,
series?
and I
stuff happens.
and I watched that whole game too, and that took a lot.
You're more of a man than I am.
That took a lot. I had to open up that second bottle of Cuervo. And let me tell you, I was saving that for the weekend.
So it took 2 bottles of Cuervo to watch that.
Oh man,
It was ugly.
It was a thumper.
It was
didn't you?
definitely
Obviously,
ugly.
you didn't see it.
I saw it.
Oh,
That's why I'm sitting there trying to figure out why you need to drink Cuervo to watch something that naturally happened.
Well, actually, I intended on, sipping on some sweet tea,
Some syrup.
some sweet tea. But after that 4 runs, 2 innings, I was like,
Well,
oh.
it was 4 runs in the first.
Four runs in the first. I like this.
And I turned off the radio, and then when I was getting ready to go to bed, I turned the TV on. It was 16-5. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, this ain't gonna work. So you got to tap into the curveball.
I was going to text Mr. Stovall, but I thought, he'd get too much pleasure out of it. So.
He would have had plenty to say.
I got a mannequin, so I really didn't need pleasure from a Cubs-Cardinal game. I'm like Sam walking on the beach.
Do you drag it around the parking lot, too?
My eyes closed.
You got a big one over there by your office.
All right, folks, let me tell you what they're talking about. It's out.
Your meds kicking in now?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't even got to. Just leave it alone. Because
Okay.
right now you're in conflict.
We can talk about it next week.
You never want to fight your meds. Your meds are always going to win.
Okay.
Never fight your meds.
Don't bring up the mannequin again,
Okay.
please.
We won't bring up the mannequin. We will bring up the fact that you thought you were walking on a beach and you were just walking in a parking lot
Right.
with a mannequin.
Right.
And it was not.
Oh,
your
let me
girlfriend.
explain. Okay. I love taking walks, long walks, with my girlfriend on the beach. What is wrong with that?
Which girlfriend, man?
Right. Manti, first of all, you have to recognize that a parking lot is not a beach and a mannequin is not a girlfriend.
I realized that when the meds wore off. That is the thing. But I'm not going to take them anymore during the day.
Okay. That way you can take longer walks on the beach.
With his girlfriend. A Hawaiian lady.
All right, that's
around
it.
his neck.
That's it.
Right.
We got to go. That's going to do it for this edition of Talking Sports. We do this each and every Friday from 2 to 4. You tune in next week. We'll lace them up and do it again.
Thank
Mike.
you, gentlemen.
Joseph?
Sam, every time you talk about your girlfriend, the story just gets longer and longer and longer.
And it changes.
And it changes. And we just want to know, we want to let you know, we're here for you.
Thank you.
There are places for this.
Thank you.
And we're willing to take you.
And we'll laugh with you.
Right. All the way.
That means a lot to me.
And we'll keep her in the back as we take you there.
She will thank you, too.
I don't think she will.
But, if you got any spare mannequin parts, she's like missing a leg. Could you help a brother out? See y'all.
Turn his mic off.